the third installment of Sister to Sister. It's a conversation between me and my sister Susan about the soul, about destiny, about life itself. It'll be released in 4 parts. Now we begin with the third part of Bullseye, Soul Connection. We're talking with Susan A. Williams, who is my precious sister. She is a prophetess and a woman of God and a minister. We're talking about sin, soulish scars, and the impact that has on our accomplishing our purpose. Go ahead, Susan.
Heal me so that I heal whatever that is in me that allowed that to happen.
Okay.
So I can walk in love.
Right.
But now it's turned, I catch myself talking the opposite way, everything directed at that person, and I think I've gone from hurt to offense.
Okay.
And now that's what I'm asking God to take care of is to deal with the wounds, whether they be old,
Okay.
and this is affecting old ones, present ones, or these are new ones. Regardless, I need those wounds healed so that when the enemy comes to me and feeds something in my ear through the mouth of another human being, like, yeah, isn't he just think he's all that in a bag of chips? I don't buy it into that.
Right. Okay, I'm with
going
you.
to buy into that if that's in me.
Okay.
There's no way. If I'm sitting here offended and the enemy sends me some lead me down that road,
Yeah.
I'm going to bite in that. He's going to find something in me when he comes to me.
Right. Okay,
I don't want him to find anything.
Okay, I really like the way you explain that process because the emotions is like you said, is this opening up an old wound that I need you to walk me through the healing process about, right?
Yeah.
Am I tapping into some old hurts? And in this here and now with this situation, am I really holding this person on some level responsible for some past hurts along the same lines, right? And I really like the way you drew that line between where you went into offense, because when you went to focusing on them as opposed to what's going on in you, you're saying that's when you cross that line into offense. That's interesting. Because if okay, so nothing wrong with emotions. God gave them to us. He's a loving God. That's an emotion in and of itself. He is all love. That's an emotion in itself. So we know that emotions in themselves are not wrong. But it's when those emotions get mutated and tacked and rooted in some past hurt. And what you're talking about is trying to discern in this moment, in this here and now, the difference between living in the past or getting snatched back to some past experience that the current person wasn't even there for, and drawing all of that negativity into the here and now in this here and now situation. That's called living in the past. That's what those patterns are that we fall into. That's how we can easily get offended. Because say I say blase splee to you. Now I'm in a room full of people, 5 people sitting at the table. I say blase splee. You walk away highly offended as if that was a personal affront, and 4 other people at the table don't. Okay?
Yeah.
Blase splee is the apple, for instance. And everybody, based on their life experiences, degree of healing from bad experiences, will look at blase splee either as just blase splee, or it will go into an interpretation, a perception of blase splee. Now you hearing blase whoop, you highly offended. Okay? Now I don't know that you're highly offended. I don't know what all of that triggered inside you, but now you got the butt with me. Now I don't understand none of this, right? I'm new kid on the block, blase splee, how you hearing blase woo, and you can sit and internalize blase woo, you can ponder on blase woo, you can let it fester inside yourself, and you're looking at me like I'm the problem. That's what you're basically saying. You're looking at me like, Linda said blase woo to me, and she did it, and she did that, and who the heck does she think she is? And then all of a sudden now, you and I don't have no relationship. We can't possibly develop a relationship because unbeknownst to me, you heard blase woo. Now, go ahead.
Well, that's what mind blowing about the whole thing is. That's when you realize that how you walk through this life is dependent on your choices, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't look at other people and say they made me this or made me that, because the bottom line is it's your heart and your soul that's going to be wounded or not wounded, healed or not healed.
Right.
And you know that person that did that to you was that person before they did it to you. They were that person when you guys were kicking it and nothing was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That was in them the whole time.
Okay.
You're gonna get mad at them because that's who they are?
Mm-hmm.
That's just who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So, we might have to rethink how we look at each other and what we expect of each other.
Well, that's good too, but in this situation, okay, so the situation that you just iterated would go if, say, for instance, somebody was raped by some joker, okay, and they got a
Yeah.
right to be offended by that. Feel me? But let's say
Yeah.
they got a pattern of that in their whole life. They were raped in the past, raped before, right? You got a right to be offended about that, but you should not be internalizing that as if you deserved it. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. You shouldn't feel like that now you're damaged goods. You shouldn't feel as if you are that wrong that was done to you. We have got to learn how to separate ourselves from drawing the line between where Mr. Rapist behind has to own his own crap, that seed he planted in his own harvest, okay?
Right,
And
right.
and you being the hurt one and realizing that okay, you didn't deserve that. He was wrong for that. You didn't deserve it, and you shouldn't feel ashamed about that as if you are that rape. You have to separate yourself from that event, and now the responsibility is yours to walk through the healing process, and that's all wrong and unfair. But as long as we staying connected to this rape, then we feel like we are the wrong that was done to us. That's one thing. The situation I'm talking about is you're in a conversation. Let's say you got that rape in your background, okay? I don't know nothing. I'm new here on the block. I say blase we. For some reason, the root of that rape is still inside you, and you hear blase woo.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's living in the past, unbeknownst to you. You might not know why you heard blase woo, and you ain't gonna hear nobody on God's earth tell you I said blase splee. You just ain't gonna hear that.
Yeah.
But other four people at the table know Linda said blase splee. Your whole world, your
Yeah.
entire reality is blase woo. That's your reality. Okay? Well, now I'm
Yeah.
lumped in with the rape you went through in the past. I don't even know that rapist. I wasn't there. I'm new kid on the block. But now I become part of the wrong that was done to you. And so now if we were supposed to divinely have a relationship, if you were a divine connection for me or I was a divine connection for you, that relationship can never develop because you heard blase woo. Now, how many other people's destinies are in limbo or jeopardy because our relationship was part of the master plan? And unless and until we can conduct that relationship between us, there's a whole bunch of people that we're connected to in the master plan that are on hold or might not ever get that provision God meant to bring through our relationship to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now I don't know you heard blase woo. All I know is I said blase split.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my wounds are such that I'm Miss Blase Splee. My wounds are such that I'm not gonna be hurt no more. You know, if they don't like me, tough noogies. I ain't got nothing to do with that. You know what? Whatever. Okay? Maybe I have to be the adult in the room and dig in and get past my own offenses enough to go to you in love and find out why you're offended by me, what I did to hurt
Well,
you.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what if
It
I'm
reminds
the
me.
adult?
Go ahead.
Right. Right. So but my wounds won't let
It
me
reminds
do
me of my
that.
friend.
Go ahead.
It just reminds me of my friend that's passed away and who was raised in witchcraft and everything, and she got saved, but she had so many wounds because she had been ritually abused. And I'll never forget, we were at a meeting, and her and I weren't really friends at that time. And she would manifest demonic spirits and stuff, and everybody split out of there. Everybody was gone. And the Lord told me, "You go." He goes, "You go get in the van with her. Go sit in the van with her." And I said, what?
Yeah.
Everybody else got to leave. Well, I got to go out there. He said, go sit out there. And I didn't know what I was going to say. He just said, go out there. And when I sat down in the seat, he told me to tell her that I was going to be her friend. And I said, no, I'm going to tell you. I said, I'm going to be your friend. And she looked at me really funny.
Wow.
Like, what? Like nobody's ever done that. No, I'm sure they haven't. I'm sure they all ran, because that's crazy stuff. Demons talking and acting funny.
Yeah.
So, I said, I'm going to be your friend. And I said, but you know what? I'm going to let you know right now that you're never going to be satisfied with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're so wounded, and I didn't wound you. I can't fix you.
Right.
I said, but I will promise to always be there for you, and I will always tell you the truth. And I said, how's that? I said, that's all I can offer. I said, but you're never going to be satisfied with that. You're always going to find some offense in it because of your wounding.
Right.
And I knew that, and the Lord wasn't having me tell her that for her as much as He was having me say it out loud for me.
For you. Yeah.
And and that's how I had to function with her. I functioned with her like she was normal and had some sense.
Yeah.
And when she stepped out of the norm, I didn't even acknowledge it.
Okay.
I just acted like it didn't exist because I was given my parameters by the Lord.
Okay.
And if she stepped out of those, I told her, I said, I'm not your shrink, I'm not your exorcist, I'm not your counselor, I'm your friend.
Right.
You want to go to the park and have a picnic? I'm your friend.
Right.
Somebody hurts your feelings and you need to talk about it? I'm your friend.
Right.
You need me to go with you to see your psychologist or go explain to you to the pastor who's not getting it?
Yeah.
I'll do that. And I did those things.
Okay.
I was her friend. And I think that is like the perfect example of, see, for me, her flaws were big and were open.
Okay.
When I walked into it.
Okay.
But we need to pretend like everybody's flaws are big and open.
Okay.
When we walk into a relationship.
Uh-huh.
And acknowledge that you know what, I'm in it for the long haul, even with the flaws.
Right.
See, it was easier for me because I could see them ahead of time.
Okay, yeah.
But we can't, see, that's the thing, we don't see them in each other always ahead of time.
Right.
We begin to see these things as we get deeper and deeper in a relationship.
I think this is a perfect place to start talking about our relationship and how it developed in the last couple of years. Even in the situation you just presented, Susan, you were a very wounded person at the time, and you were really rooted in a lot. You were easily hurt. You experienced rejection very quickly, and for the Lord to put you as wounded as you were in her life, as wounded as she was, right? Yeah. It was almost like iron sharpening iron. You had to put aside all of your own past pain in order to step into that divine connection.
Yeah.
Right? Now, is this the lady whose demons used to call you on the phone?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, y'all. I got to tell y'all.
I had two friends whose demons used to do that.
Wait a minute. I got to tell y'all, this girl right here. Look, she be giving the gates of hell a pounding to the point where them devils be calling her on the phone. I told they gonna be texting her next. Tell them the truth. Tell them one example where that happened, so they know I'm not just talking outside of my face.
Oh, God always gives me long-term assignments. Isn't that funny how wounded I was?
Mm-hmm.
And yet God would send me really, really demonically oppressed and controlled people.
Yeah.
Long-term.
Yeah.
And I think I had this friend for about 3 years, and she would call, we would talk on the phone almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about for an hour, I'm talking about for hours.
Okay.
And because I had kids and stuff, it would have to be after they were in bed, so I'd be on the phone till 3 o'clock in the morning with this person. And it just seemed like we would hardly ever get anywhere. It was just always, 2 steps forward, slide back 3,
Yeah.
And one night I felt like we really made some headway, and the phone rang about an hour later, so it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what in the heck? I answer the phone, and this is the demons on the phone talking about, leave her alone. Go away, leave her alone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really?
What'd you tell them demons once? Didn't you tell them back off?
I know. I tell them a lot of times I don't talk to demons. Is what I tell them a lot of times.
Click.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
You call me talking like that? I don't talk to demons.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. You know what was missing in that conversation? Who is this?
Oh, I knew who it was. It was just like I just knew who it was because he be using her voice, but it's coming out of her.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
crying over here. I just love it, girlfriend. I'm telling
And
you.
then the second friend, hers was a little girl. It
Oh,
would come like
really?
a little girl.
Really?
Hi, this is so and so. You know, you said such and such to so and so. Cause see, like she had a different name, so
Uh,
she would always call on the phone trying to talk to me about my friend.
yeah.
And I just said, hey, you know what? Her, I know. You, I don't. I'm not gonna try to develop a relationship with you. I talk to her and her alone.
Oh,
Right?
go,
And then he
girl.
called back one time and said, you hurt her feelings and you said blah 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 blah. And I said, you know what? How did I say? I said, you know what? If you were a person, if you were a split personality who was sent to protect her, you wouldn't always attack the people of God that are trying to help her.
Oh,
I said, you're a demonic spirit, and that's the end of that.
girl.
So yeah, but it was So
Wait a minute. Look, y'all. Y'all can email me at Who's Apple because I want to know. I never heard another person in my life that was getting phone calls from these devils because he was giving them black eye. Look, y'all, let me tell you something. I dreamed about Susan's house once. Now, y'all got to understand about me. I don't dream about no devils, okay? I ain't never seen them. I ain't going to look up see no ghost. Ghost could be sitting here with his leg crossed on the sofa. Lord know what a person can take. I ain't seen that crap. But I had a dream about Susan's house one time, and in this dream, them demons were rolling around in wheelchairs. One joker had his left arm in a cast and was walking with his right arm on crutches. Them demons was hurt to death up in our house. That's too funny, girl. But I really want to go to our relationship since we're talking about Susan, how your woundedness and how you stepped past that and stepped into your destiny. I want to use this as an opportunity to tell everybody that's hearing this, you can still operate in God's master plan, that you can leverage your will to fake it till you make it and be doggone determined that, Lord, I'm going to do what you told me to do, and I am willing to step out when you tell me to step out with your grace. Just help me through this, Lord. And sometimes you can move forward with your assignments anyway. I don't want you to ever think that, wait a minute, I got to get it all together first. God knew you were going to go through what you went through when he called you. He saw you before you got here. He knew that you were a human doggone being and fallible. And so you ain't no surprise to him. That's what I want everybody to walk with. And to walk on out there and do. Susan did in her pain. You ain't gonna hear nothing about no walking out pain till you hear about our relationship. Susan, my mother had a stroke about 2 or 3 years ago, and that was the beginning of our relationship. See, I am 5 years older than Susan, and I was up out of the house most of her growing up. I didn't have a close relationship with any of my siblings, and there are four of them. I've got an older brother, Scott. Then I was born, Linda, and then Susan. Then Mark was born, and Susan, and then Judith, the late Judith Williams, our baby sister. We'll talk about her later. But Susan's 5 years younger than I am. And even when I was in the house, I didn't have a really close relationship with them. I went off to college. Susan and Judy and Mark and everybody were growing up. Scott was already out of the house. So I've never been the type of person to be, you know, close to any siblings. When mother had her stroke about 2 or 3 years ago, Susan stepped in, and Susan, took care. She got a medical background. She'd been taking care of Mama. She had to step in and take on the burden of making sure Mama got the proper care. She advocated for Mama and everything. And you got to know that in that there was a tenuous relationship between Mama and Susan as it was. And here God is again throwing her into a situation where she had to put down all of her issues in order to step in and into what God had placed her. In the middle of this, though, what we're going to talk about today is our relationship and the person I was when I came back. See, I left at 18 and said I wasn't never coming back. Long story short, life goes to heck in a handbasket. One day I'm in Chicago at my desk, called my mother, told him about some dude jacking me up about my car. Some mechanic jacking me up about my car. And the conversation ended like this with Mama. Your whole life is messed up. You gonna transfer your job. You coming back here to live. You need to be around your family. And I'm telling you now, I think I probably hung up on her butt because I had no intention of ever coming back to Michigan ever. Okay. Long story even shorter. 1 month later, I had transferred my job, sold everything I owned, and had moved up here. And I lived with Susan for November, December, about 2 months before I got my own place. I've been in Grand Rapids for over 20 years. So my mother spoke into my life. But even in all of that, even with living with Susan for that period of time, and even in all of those 20 years plus years that followed, she and I didn't really have a relationship. She had a blase woo going on, and I didn't give a rip about, didn't even know I said blase split. Okay, so Susan, tell them a little bit about the person I was when I came back from Chicago and came back to Michigan, and then I'm going to ask you a few questions. Then I'm going to tell them a little bit about some of the things you told me to reconnect me to who I really was.
Okay, well, I can't separate who you were when you came back from my perceptions
Yeah, I
and
want to just give it
how
to me
that
hard.
affected me. Yeah.
Yeah. All of that. Tell me all of that. Tell me
Yeah,
I was
because
Miss Jones. I don't give a rip. Just to
okay.
tell the truth.
Well, just like you hear in Linda's speaking now, she's very straightforward. And even and almost to a, like she's almost thinks like a man in some ways. Like
Mm-hmm.
what she's talking about is all she's thinking about. She's not got ulterior stuff floating around back over here, and she's kind of trying to lead you over there. Because if you go over there, she's gonna be like, "I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this." And I tell her all the time she should have been a lawyer. But she was very direct, and I was a scared, timid puppy. And over the course of our relationship, when she first came back to Grand Rapids, all but the last 3 years of it,
Yep.
since we became friends, she would step out of my life in seasons.
Yep.
So it seemed like I would say something, she'd get ticked off, and believe me, she let me know. She was very verbal. And
come on, girl. Wait a minute. Let's back this up. Look, be real with these people. I cuss her butt out. Cuss you out in a New York minute. Didn't get a rip. Now let me translate this direct thing. I was mean as heck. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I was mean. Okay, now you take the story.
Yeah, she was mean. She was mean, and and I'm looking at her, and I'm hearing all the meanness, knowing that it's coming out of brokenness. So the few times I tried to reach out to her about really like connecting with God and getting her life right with God,
I wasn't ready.
Those were then I didn't hear from her. I didn't hear from her for a year, 2 years. And this, so every time I would open my mouth to try to be of any kind of benefit or guy, I got cussed out, and then I lost my sister for years. And so, and you would think that during those times, after the first couple times, I would be okay about it. I was tore up during those times, in between those times, the whole time.
Wow.
And I would think, what did I do wrong?
Right.
What did I say wrong? I mean, I just want to have my sister. I don't understand, and so I would be pretty tore up through all that, but sometimes God allows you to stay in those like that because you have to get sick of being like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to just get sick of, you know what? If I'm gonna have any relationship with this woman, I'm gonna have to. I almost called her a cow. Back then, I wanted to call her a cow.
Yeah, that's cool. You call me a cow. Go ahead.
Because I'm gonna have to toughen up.
See, if I want a relationship with this cow, girl, go ahead and be real now. Come on, it's just a.
And so, when Mom had her stroke, it was 6 months before my mom had her stroke. The Lord arrested me, sitting in my office, and told me, "I want you to draw closer to your sisters." And both her and Judy were living in Grand Rapids. And I didn't know why he told me that, but I knew that he wasn't playing. And so I decided I'm going to take a trip. I'm going to take Sunday after church, and I'm going to leave, and I'm going to go spend the day in Grand Rapids visiting my sisters, which was not something that I ever did. That was like
Nope.
unheard of.
Yep.
And I remember just like asking people. I said, I'm going to go visit my sisters today. And I said, and I've gone before thinking that God was sending me to minister life to them. I'm going today as me because he promised, he told me, and I finally get it. You be and I, he said, you be and I am. And I understood what he was telling me was just be yourself. That the you that I've created is sufficient. And so I was like, okay, so I said, I need you guys to pray that I won't let no religious spirit come up in me, that I just go there to enjoy myself and just let God go with me like he always does, you know? And so I remember them praying and everything, you know? And so I get into Grand Rapids and I tell my daughter, and I said, Joy, you know, I said, it's almost Valentine's Day. Let's go buy stuff for them. And I don't know why I did that because I didn't know how we were going to eat. I hardly had any money, but I just felt compelled. So we stop at Myers, and I see this little stuffed dog, and I think he's so cute. I'm going to get him for your Aunt Judy. And I bought my niece some candy because that's all she loves, sweets. And then I saw these, and I said, I'm going to get Linda some flowers. And I think I bought her a box of candy too. I'm not sure.
You did.
And I remember, you know, doing that, not being a big deal, but I was very, you know, I have an anointing, a gift to buy people the right thing at the right time. I don't. It's just a gift. And so I go to my other sisters and I give her the little stuffed dog, and come to find out from her daughter that she'd seen him in the store several different times, like and that she always thought he was so cute. She always wanted one, and I had no idea. I mean, my eyes just caught him, and so then I went to my sister Linda's and I gave her her flowers. Well, she hadn't seen my daughter in a long time, so I hand her the flowers. She throws them down. She focuses on my daughter.
Yep.
I pick the flowers up again. She puts them back down and focuses on my daughter. I mean, she can't even acknowledge the gift because she's so busy.
Joy was just so beautiful to me. She just was so beautiful to me.
Yeah, so you were overwhelmed with that, and you know, and we didn't talk about that forever.
Right.
I mean, that subject didn't come up. I mean, literally for years.
Yep.
And later she told me that she was going through some things, and that those flowers actually brought the. You explain how you felt about that.
Susan had no idea that I was in a relationship with some knucklehead, and it was just going downhill real fast. And I was in the middle of writing a book too, and I was right at one of those points where I needed to come through some kind of healing in order to keep writing the book. And she didn't know that the day or two before that, I had gone and made an appointment to commit myself to the mental health facility because I was just down that far. You know, my pattern was get into a relationship with some knucklehead that wasn't capable of reciprocating the level of love that I deserved. And the thing going so far down in the cesspool that I wound up a nutcase having to commit myself to a mental health facility. Now he's sitting up here. We got two cars sitting out there, but I got to go next door to my 86-year-old neighbor to have her take me up to the mental health facility that night. Susan had no clue that all that was going on. I had gotten to the point where I wasn't putting on no makeup, didn't give a rip how I looked. Susan came in my office and it was toe up from the floor up. And she was used to when she walked in my house, it was clean, orderly, all of that. I was just really low, and she had no way of knowing it. That day she came in there, and I think she just showed up. I didn't even know she was coming. She just showed up. She had these flowers and this candy and her beautiful daughter with her. And she took me out. She said, let's go out to dinner, and then we're going to go visit my sister Judy. So I didn't even put no face on, y'all. And you don't know, that's a cruelty to the world for me to walk out of here without no face on, because generally I have to beat my face for about an hour before I'm looking presentable. I didn't give a rip. I went out the house. I put my flowers, when I got back, I put them in water and everything. And I told Susan years down the line that those flowers, her visit, going out to dinner, and going with her over to my sister's house, that all of that turned me around and pulled me out of that depression. I canceled my appointment to commit myself. And her timing with that was beyond belief, because for some reason it was just her showing the love, especially with those flowers, that made all the difference. That's not the end of this ongoing discussion with my sister Susan A. Williams. Although we have to end this conversation here, please join us for part 4 of Bullseye Soul Connection.